Hello guys, hello. So today I decided that we should sit down and actually have a chat. I'm going to be telling you guys how did I get into the public health space slash NGOs slash HIV. Yeah, I'm going to be telling you guys that because I'm well aware there are a lot of people. I'm trying to see if I can find like commonly asked questions. I know there is an individual on my DMs right now who's waiting for me to respond. I think I'm gonna read his DM as time goes, and then I'm gonna answer him here. But I just wanted to tell you guys, how did I get into the NGO space? Because that's the frequently asked question. And also I'm always asked, how did you get into the HIV space? So basically, I'm here to sit down and tell you a bit about my career journey and how did I land where I'm at now. But yeah, let us get into the video. If you are new, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button. We are on road to 5.5k / 6k guys. So do not hesitate to hit the subscribe button and join. This is Nestle. While having this conversation, we're going to be sipping on some med lemon, paracetamol, and what else? And Stony. The weathers last week were just not friendly, so we're going to be sipping on this. In 2011, I applied for the Northwest Department of Health bursary to do nursing, and I went to Mafikeng at the Mabato College of Nursing, currently known as Northwest College of Nursing, Mafikeng campus. I went there and I did my first year in 2012, and then in 2015, I was doing my final year. 2016, I was doing Comserve, and I went back to Rustenburg. By the way, I'm from Rustenburg. I'm not originating there, but I grew up there. I'm originating from the Eastern Cape. I'm Xhosa, in a small town beneath Umtata that is called Elliotdale. So my dad worked in the mines for years, and then they bought a house for us there and brought us up in Rustenburg. So after I completed in nursing school, I went back to Rustenburg and I worked for the Rustenburg sub-district. I did my Comserve at Middelburg Clinic. Well, before I could choose Comserve, I sort of observed or assessed myself to say, which environment am I doing better on as a nurse? Like, is it a hospital or is it the PHC sector? And I did this so that I could be able to know where do I want to go during Comserve. Do I want to go to a hospital? Do I want to go to PHC? And what reasons, like for what reasons? So I did all that assessment from first year until final year. Like whenever I would go and be placed for practicals, I would observe to say, do I like it here if I'm in the hospitals? Which ward do I like in the hospitals? I remember in the hospitals, I used to love trauma and emergency. I also loved theater. I hated medical ward. I also loved OPD. I also hated surgical ward. I just hated wards because I also hated maternity as well. Postnatal and antenatal. I hated all of that, guys. I hated it, and I didn't want to do any of it. I think it's one of the reasons that made me to actually realize it's PHC that I enjoyed the most. And when I was still in nursing school, I wasn't much exposed to HIV, really. Even when I went for practicals, one would be exposed to the general nursing side of PHC than the chronic side. And then come Comserve 2016, I went to Middelburg CHC, and I remember my first week, it was terrible, child. Guys, my first week was terrible. I was doing IPI, like immunizations. I was doing that. I hated it. And then I also did general consultations, which we called minor elements. And then I was also placed at ANC doing antenatal. And I could tell that I don't like any of those things. Like, I didn't like screaming kids. I was also tired of just like hearing people coming into my consulting room looking for Panado and also looking for sick notes. Like Abanda Bangayim 17, and then on Mondays they're there asking for sick notes. I knew that I don't like this, like there's no challenge in this for me. And then I was placed in chronic in our clinic. I was running the chronic department where I was dealing with your diabetes mellitus, your hypertension, asthmatic clients, like clients who are having epilepsy, psych clients. Oh, by the way, in nursing school, psych was like my first love. I always thought that after nursing school, I would be a psych nurse. And then I was then now exposed to HIV and working with people who are living with HIV in that particular clinic. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. The conversations that I would have with my clients, the interactions. And I think someone asked me on Instagram, like I said, that, let me read the question because I haven't answered it. There are actually very few questions that I'm going to be answering. Why HIV over all the majors / specialities you could pick from? I think it was from the conversations that I would have and the interactions that I would have with my patients during the year of 2016. I met a lot of vulnerable people who were vulnerable because of the disease. I saw what the disease did to the Black community. I saw its brutality. I saw how it took so much from people, and I hated it. I think a part of me knew that I needed to do my part. As much as it's such a vast and a big disease, I mean, it's an entire epidemic, you know. I knew that I need to do my part in my little corner. With South Africa leading with infections in Africa, and with South Africa having the best treatment of ART in the world, I knew that I need to be part of the people that are making fighting the disease better. I knew I wanted to be one of those people. It was all from my conversations and interactions with people who were living with HIV and people who were affected by HIV. I remember there's a man that I can never forget in my life. That man brought his wife to my consulting room, and I was so petite, you guys. I was 25 when I started working, so I started working very late because obviously I took a year gap. I went to UJ, and yeah, so I was still petite and young when I started working. This man comes into my consulting room wheeling his sickly wife, and as they get in, I talked to the carer. I'm like, Papa, how are you doing? This man, I think he was almost my dad's age, and he cried. He broke down into tears. A man that had so much dignity. I looked at him and I saw my father, a man that I respected so much, and he could see that I respect him. I asked him how he was doing, and he broke down and cried. And he told me how difficult it was to take care of his sick wife. They didn't have children, family and friends were not interested to come assist the man. So it was only him and his sick wife, and he told me how terrified he was about his wife's condition and that his wife might die. I took out a tissue from my handbag. That's all I could do, and I gave it to that man. What I did was to take the wife's file and I scrutinized it. I looked at the blood tests that were taken. I looked at the medication that the wife was on. I looked at the trends of how the wife has been taking the medication previously, like to see if she was defaulting at some point or not. I basically scrutinized that file, and when I couldn't find anything that would give me an idea of what was wrong with the woman, I then decided to send the woman to the doctor. Like, I booked an appointment for them to come and see a doctor. And my effort, just by trying, the man looking at me, seeing me scrutinizing the file, me asking him how he was doing, and also me reassuring him that we're really going to do what's in or within our ability to assist the wife, and me reassuring him that as healthcare workers we are here to walk the road with them, like with people who are living with HIV and people who are affected by HIV. I think by me doing that, healed that man. I'm saying he was healed because I saw him the following, I think about 2 days later, they had came for the doctor's appointment, and that man grabbed me in front of everyone, and he was smiling, which was something that I had never seen before. He was smiling and he was happy. And weirdly, I even thought the wife was better because I asked, is Mama okay? Is Mama better? And he said, no, she's not better. We're here for the doctor's appointment. I was like, okay. But his face was lighter, it was brightened, and he gave me lunch money. Lunch. I also used to believe that, but hi guys. Talking of appreciation, because that man gave me, I think 50 rands or 100 rands. I think it was 100 rands. Because there's one who gave me 50 rands by force. My patients used to give me things. When I was working for Department of Health, my patients used to give me things. Some would bring me veggies. I think that's what I miss about working in the consulting rooms. I think that man gave me 100 rands. And I said, no, Papa, you can't pay me. I was just doing my job. There's nothing that I did on that day that was out of my scope of practice. And he said, don't tell me about your scope of practice. Don't tell me that you're getting paid to do what you do. Take this money. If you don't take it, I won't be happy. You healed me. And he literally gave me a hug, and we were in the corridors. So such stories that are embedded in my heart and in my mind, because there's also one of a young boy. However, these are people that I can't trace back now. I can't find, I don't know their names. I don't know what happened to them. But what they taught me is that in my little corner, I can make a difference. I can heal one individual, even if I don't take away the disease from them, but I can bring healing, you know. So that's the reason why I chose HIV, to be precise. So that is my why I chose HIV and how I chose HIV. And then I left Mitikon Clinic and I went to Amalekwane. It was in RTBS Lethabong. I worked there, and my manager, I've always been blessed with great managers, you guys. Managers who supported my passion and my vision. Managers who knew what are my strong points and what I loved and what I did better in. So they would always put me where I strive better. Not that they were spoiling me. Obviously, if there would be shortage somewhere, they would ask me to go and fill up that place, whether it's ANC or children's immunization. But most of the times they would place me where I'm passionate about that department. So even in Amalekwane, I was placed in chronics. I was working with people who are living with HIV. I was in Amalekwane 2017, 2018, and 2019 and 2020. I was in Amalekwane and I was working as a chronic nurse. I wanted to leave. I started to feel like I've hit the ceiling, like I need a new challenge, because I think I had felt that the impact that I was doing in my consulting room for people who are living with HIV was no longer enough to serve my purpose. I felt like I needed a broader workplace. I didn't want to be conformed to a consulting room. I then joined Institute of Health Programs and Systems under the Me First campaign, which was funded by Beyond Zero. And man, I loved what I was doing in 2021. You guys saw it on my channel. If you did not, if you are new here, please go back and watch my videos from 2021, especially my work vlogs. I loved what I was doing. So what I was doing at Institute of Health Programs and Systems, I was a nurse lead. It's what we call a nurse lead in CDC. But at SANAC, we call it a biomedical manager. I was leading the biomedical department, which encompasses of HIV testing counselors, peer navigators, registered nurses, as well as enrolled nurses. And our main duty was to do HIV testing and HIV prevention services, where we were distributing condoms, as well as PrEP for the men who are having sex with other men. So we had a key population, and our key population was MSM. So I did that for a year. How did I get into that position? Because I think that's the most important thing that I wish someone could have told me, right? I started job hunting in 2019 while I was still with DOH. Before COVID, I went and I did my passport because I was planning on going into the nursing, the cruise ship nursing, like working in the cruise ships abroad. I was planning on doing that, and then COVID hit. And then I was like, it's a sign, because I was also scared. I was scared of leaving the country. And I had a child then, I had my parents. I was so scared of leaving the country. So when COVID hit, I was like, it's a sign that I'm not supposed to leave Africa, child. I'm not supposed to leave. And then I dropped that and I started to look for a job in the NGOs. I am not going to lie to you guys. Getting into the NGO space is really not easy. I started looking for a job in the NGOs, I think in 2018. I used to apply for Oram Institute in Northwest. I would get rejects left, right, and center. Han, there was a time I calculated the amount of applications I've done and the responses I had and the responses that I did not get. And the responses I got were rejects. The ones that I did not get were just saying applications pending, something like that. I had about 60 applications to Oram Institute. Guys, I had applied for 60 positions at Oram Institute and I was not called for any interview in Northwest. And I will tell you why. And apparently it was also happening here in Ekurhuleni because Oram was also implementing here in Ekurhuleni. And I was not applying to Ekurhuleni because at that time I wasn't ready to relocate anywhere else. I wanted myself to be in Northwest. I think even my goals were not about relocating. Pella, this is something like 2018. Yeah, 2018, 2019. Rumor had it that Oram Institute was not hiring Department of Health nurses during those years. I don't know if it's still happening now or not, but Department of Health nurses, it wasn't hiring, like it wasn't taking, people were saying there was an agreement between Oram and DOH to say we're not going to take DOH nurses. I don't know if it was true or not, but believe me, the way I got rejects, guys, I feel like it was true. And at that time, I would see Oram nurses getting into our facilities, and I would sub a wall, child. I would sub a wall. Come 2020, I was exhausted. I was exhausted and I wanted to leave DOH. And then I found out about HIV, the organization that I'm currently supporting. I found out about it in 2020 from an ex-colleague of mine. She was working for that organization, and then I started bombarding HIV with my applications. And in a day, I would apply for more than 7 positions in a day. Like literally every morning when the clinic staff was praying and stuff, I would be busy with my applications and checking the VetRHI website if they had posts. And during that year, I was not even just applying for Northwest. I was applying for the whole country because I was ready to relocate anywhere. And I received a call from VetRHI for an interview. Vets is implementing in Eastern Cape, and I applied at positions in the EC, and I was called for an interview. I did an interview. Like we're talking that, you see that one, that story, ne? What happened during that period of me being called for an interview with vets. That one needs prayers, and it needs alcohol, and I don't drink alcohol for me to tell that story time, because I had never experienced mental exhaustion like I did during that period. Like it was just a lot, guys. It was just a lot. But that interview did not fall through, and I had had enough with Department of Health at that time. I was like, no, I'm not. 2021 will not start with me working for Department of Health. If it comes to a push, I'm going to resign and go work in a private hospital. And I hate hospitals. I generally hate hospitals. So private hospitals, I despise. Private hospitals, I despise. I've never worked for a private hospital. I don't want to work for one. I don't ever wish to work for one. I despise it. But during that year, I was ready to just go and work for private because I was tired. I was saying to God, I'm doing your work. I'm doing your work in all aspects. I give my all at my workplace for your people. I also give my all for your people on social media, because those were the years where I was doing a lot of HIV awareness on my social media platforms. And then I texted this other lady and I said to her, she used to work for Anova. I said to her, hey, if Anova is looking for people, please let me know. And then she was like, actually, there is an institution that just came in Bujanala and it's about to implement the same module that Anova was implementing. And they're looking for a nurse. I'm going to give the technical lead your number so that they can contact you. And I was like, okay, whatever, you can please do so. The technical lead called me literally. I spoke to the lady today in the evening, and then tomorrow morning at 7:30, the technical lead was already on my phone. And I was like, it's a sign that they need me as much as I need them. He called me. He's still my favorite person. He's still my favorite person because I honestly believe that guy gave me a fair chance. I know he was desperate, but he really did give me a fair chance. I think had he not contacted me, I wouldn't have been exposed to the world of public health. Like, yeah. He called me and he was like, hey, baby girl, I hear that you are looking for a job. Like, how fast can you start? I said, my brother, as soon as I receive an offer letter, I want out of here. Sharp, we took the interview. I didn't even prepare for it. I knocked off from work. I was like, I'm even done preparing for interviews. I was not even scared. But that guy asked me questions. It was him and the HR person asked me questions. I answered, answering from my experience of working with people living with HIV. And that was it. 2 weeks later, they gave me an offer letter. I was not happy with the money that they were offering me. Remember at Department of Health, I was earning 22,000. I think when I left Department of Health, I was earning 22,000. I watched one of my videos recently where I was talking about how much I earned, and I said, yo, I cringed at how much I was earning two years ago. I was like, yo, girl, I was so clear straight, like you were struggling. So I was earning 22,000 rand, and he made me an offer. I honestly wished that the offer was more, you know, but he made me an offer of 30,000 rand. It was like 8,000 more from what I was earning at DOH. And I accepted, guys, because, I mean, I wanted out of Department of Health. I think that was it. I wanted out. I don't even think it was about money anymore. I think had he offered me 26,000 or 28,000 or 25,000, I would have accepted that offer. I still would have accepted it, I don't want to lie. So he offered me 30K, I accepted that offer. And the 30K was total cost to company. It didn't have benefits. So the company was just paying you, like, hey, 30,000, it's none of our business. But when we part ways, we're not going to be owing you anything. You're not going to be owing us anything. I accepted the offer, and then I went home for 2 weeks and I submitted my resignation. And guys, Nike resigned with immediate effect. I know it didn't affect my pension funds. It did not affect my pension funds. A lot of people DM'd me because, guys, I'm an open book. Like, I don't see the necessity of me hiding certain things. Things such as how much did I get for my pension fund, how much, like, what does resigning with immediate effect means. Because I did tell people that I resigned with immediate effect. Like, it wasn't a secret. Like, why should I keep it a secret? So I resigned with immediate effect. And the reason I resigned with immediate effect is because I had left my workplace 3 months prior. Like, my mental state had left my workplace 3 months prior. And I could not bear to serve a notice of 1 month. So I was like, let me save you guys the misery and a sloppy employee, and let me just resign with immediate effect and go start somewhere else where my heart is burning for my work. I resigned with immediate effect, and then 4th of January 2021, I was clocking at my new job, honey. I was at Institute of Health Programs and Systems, and I was loving it. I was killing it. I was looking pretty. I joined Institute of Health Programs and Systems in their last leg of funding. So SANAC, which is the South African AIDS National, SANAC, it's South African National AIDS Council. SANAC grants take 3 years. CDC grants take 5 years. CDC stands for Center for Disease Control. Yeah, CDC and PEPFAR. Grant takes 5 years, and then SANAC grants take 4 years. CDC comes from the USA, and then SANAC comes from Switzerland, from the Global Fund. So SANAC grants, right, they take 3 years. CDC grants takes 5 years. So when I joined the Institute of Health Programs and Systems, they had signed a 3-year contract, and they were on their last leg. So it was 2 years later, after starting implementation, I joined them on their last year of implementation. I remember even during my interview, they asked if you have a question. Guys, this thing I heard, when you get an interview, you don't ask a question. You say, no, I don't have a question, because when I ask it, it must come to an end. They asked if I had a question, and I said, how long is my contract going to be? And then they said, it's going to be 1 year, 3 months, because that's when the grant ends. If we get a renewal of grant, then we're going to continue, we're going to give you a new contract. So in NGOs, contracts go hand in hand with funding. If you join the organization on its first leg of implementation, and their implementation period, their funding period is 3 years, then it means you're going to sign a 3-year contract. And if they are awarded a second grant, when the 3 years comes to an end, then they're going to renew your contract as well and give you another 3 years. That's how it works. Even with Oram Institute, that's how it used to work. Like, they would get a 5-year contract back in Northwest, and then after 5 years, if they get another funding, they get another 5 years again. So they will say you are permanent, but your permanency really depends on the availability of the grant. That's basically what it means. Someone asked that question as well. Your permanency depends on the availability of the grant. So I signed the contract knowing very well at the end, in 2022 in March, it's going to come to an end. And there are 2 possibilities: that there is no renewal of contract, and I would have to join a new organization, or they will renew contract if they are awarded the grant again. So that's how it works. And also, other institutions or other, let me not even say institutions, but other organizations, they don't give you total cost to company. Not all CBOs and NGOs gives you a total cost to company. Some have benefits. You will get medical aid. They will also deduct pension fund. What else? Obviously, tax is also there. So yeah, that's basically how I joined the HIV space. And with the experience, so what I did was, I made sure, you see, in that 1 year, 3 months, I made sure that I make my mark in that particular organization. I ensured that. I made sure I made my mark. In their 2 years of implementation that I was not there, PrEP was struggling, like the indicator of PrEP was struggling. And then I joined the organization. Baby girl, did I not take the indicator to 110%? I even covered up the 2 years that I was not there on that particular indicator. So I made my mark, I don't want to lie, I made my mark with the funder, I made my mark with the company that I was working for, to a point that when a new organization came to implement, the very same guy that gave me a fair chance to start with the public health, called me and said, hey Nana, we are bringing a new organization and we want you on board. Because my work spoke for itself. In the NGO space, your work needs to speak for yourself. That's just how it is. Your work needs to speak for yourself. Yes, politics are there. Politics and favoritism is there, but also I love how they acknowledge hard workers. They do acknowledge hard workers, I won't lie. So, Institute of Health Programs and Systems introduced me to a whole different world that I didn't know of public health. I went to East London for the OIG inspector, Office of the Inspector General audits, which came from Global Fund. I was introduced to a whole new world of public health. And I realized that HIV is vast in terms of career path. It's vast, it's huge, it's a world on its own, and one needs to find their own space and their own speciality. And that's why right now I'm doing my postgrad diploma in HIV management, and I'm about to do my master's as well. It's because I am in a completely different world. And I won't even say I'm in nursing now, because I work with different people and I compete with different people for positions. Like, I don't compete with nurses alone. Public health is not a space of nurses alone, especially the leadership positions in public health. You are not going to compete with nurses only. You're going to compete with doctors, you're going to compete with social workers, with psychologists, you're going to compete with sociologists, you're going to compete with a lot of people for positions in public health. So postgrad studies matters a lot. That's the other reason I went back to school. Can we talk about, okay, I want to quickly read the questions. Someone says, hi Nessie, where can one do NIM at during Comserve? I always recommend FPD. What would be your advice to someone who will be a Comserve nurse next year? Find your passion. You know, the Bible says your gift will make room for you. I think that's exactly what is happening with my life. There's a lady that I love, I forgot her name now, and I know she's gonna watch this video, but she left a very lengthy, warm comment. Guys, please leave me some warm comments, Claire. I know you watch my videos and sometimes you're lazy to type a comment, but that lady left me a very long, warm comment on one of my chit chats. And she was saying she's amazed at how I left the patient interaction or the direct service delivery nursing so quick. Other people wait for speciality for them to stop like interacting with clients. I think with me, even my current position where I'm at, I think it's a matter of my gift making room for me. That's it. Because I don't think I struggle in my work because I'm doing something that I love. I'm doing something that I'm passionate about. I'm doing something that I think I'm gifted in. I'm really gifted when it comes to HIV related things, when it comes to dealing with people living with HIV and people affected by HIV. So my advice to someone who's about to do Comserve, it would be ensure that you identify your passion, follow it, learn about it, research about it, dive into that particular passion. And then someone says, no question, but you inspire us RNs to not limit ourselves. I definitely don't limit myself. I don't limit myself at all. Someone says, hey Z, what advice can you give to nursing students who wants to pursue a career in the HIV industry? Baby girl, come this side. Machankura. Okay, I'm lying. I'm not gonna talk about money, but to be honest, the HIV space pays more than Department of Health. That's one thing I can assure you on. Just make sure that it's something that you love, hun. If it's really something that you love, then you're gonna do it and you're gonna enjoy it. You're also not gonna be scared, because I think a lot of people are scared of joining the public health space because there is no job security here. It's no secret, and if you've been following me for a while, you know that I have already experienced it myself. I have gotten my fair share. I've received my retrenchment letter already. There's no job security in this side of town, but it's nothing to be scared of. If you really love what you do, if you really believe in yourself, if you know that you are good, you will be able to make a name for yourself, then you've got nothing to worry about. You've got nothing to be scared of. And I think the other thing that I love about the HIV space, which makes me not to be scared of retrenchment, is that they pay me well enough for me to save money so that I can be able to take care of my things when retrenchment hits, you know. Unlike staying in one position, not being paid enough, and I'm always miserable and terrible, no. So if you want to join the HIV space, I say go for it. If you're a student nurse, and my other advice is, if possible, when you go to practicals, try to be placed or ask the nurses to place you where they are issuing out ART for clients, like in chronic. Try to see yourself in chronic and see how you interact with people living with HIV and people who are affected by HIV. See if it's really, try it out while you are a student, see if it's really something that you truly love. And if it is, then go for it. Go for it. Say, Nemali guys, go. I don't want to like, I'm comparing it to DOH, obviously. I'm not going to compare it with other sectors. I've never worked in any other sector besides DOH. But yeah, come this side, guys. With salary and benefits, some organizations, they give you total cost to company, like what Institute of Health Programs and Systems did with us, or with me, because I don't know about other people. What they did with me, they gave me total cost to company, like they were paying me all my monies. And when my contract ended, they only paid me for the leave days that I had on their system, which also was quite a lot of money that assisted me during the time of unemployment. And some organizations, you will get medical aid. I think there are organizations that are paying 100% for the medical aid. I think so. Yeah, I don't want to mention them by names because I might be wrong, but there are also organizations that are contributing a certain amount of money. For instance, I'm no longer working in NGOs, by the way, guys. I don't work for an NGO. I work for a private company. Like my company has shareholders, it has executive directors, it has senior management. I am now in corporate. I am full-blown a corporate girl. But I wanted to make an example for the company that I work for, even though it's not an NGO. They give us a certain amount of money to say this goes to your medical aid. They give it to you, so you are going to pay it to your medical aid. Like you will choose your own medical aid. But I know the organization that is currently implementing in Mujana, the one that I was supposed to have joined, that took over from Institute of Health Programs and Systems, they are paying a certain percentage of the medical aid, like how GEMS used to do it. Yeah, they are paying a certain percentage and you pay another percentage. And other NGOs, they will also deduct pension money, like pension fund money. And no, we don't have housing allowance in NGOs. NGOs don't have housing allowance. You might have, traveling allowance. Like people claim for travel. In other organizations, there are no travel allowance because you are using the company vehicle. So all you have to do is to drive from your house to your office, and then you leave your car at the office. That's what I used to do at Institute of Health Programs and Systems. I would leave my car at the office and then I would use the company vehicle to travel anywhere and everywhere in the district that I was working in. Obviously, they deduct UIF money. UIF money, you claim it when you are retrenched. Yeah, but I didn't claim mine last time. Yeah, I didn't think I needed it. So yeah, it's medical aid, it's no housing allowance, it's only travel allowance in some institutions. For instance, the company that I work for, I have a travel allowance because I use my car to travel from my house to sites. And I know that Oram Institute in the Northwest also had a travel allowance when I really wanted to join them. So they would claim from their office to different clinics that the clinicians were supporting. So yay! I think I have covered quite a lot of things that a lot of people ask me. So if there is a question that you have and you would like me to answer that I probably did not cover on this particular video, please do drop it on the comment section down below and I will answer you. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I will see you on my next one.